be all that you have. Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things in the area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
50 Cent didn't just drop a docuseries. He set off a pressure wave. After 2 years of buildup, Diddy: The Reckoning finally arrived. And it doesn't play like a calm recap. It feels like a direct challenge. Insider accounts, uncomfortable allegations, and carefully placed moments all push one question to the front. How much of what the public saw for years was the polished image, and how much was the private reality? And here's the part people are missing. This wasn't the ending, it was the trigger. Since the rollout went public, the fallout hasn't slowed down. There's talk of legal pushback, behind-the-scenes tension, and non-stop rumors that even more material exists and hasn't been released yet.
The phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution.
Which is exactly why we need to break down what this documentary highlights, what it implies, and what it may be setting up next, because it lights up 3 areas that never stay quiet. First, it pulls the Biggie and Tupac era back into the spotlight. Second, it reframes the verdict by centering juror voices. And third, it pours gasoline on the footage dispute, the part that could spiral into a real legal and media war. And if there's one person who knows how to turn a rollout into a confrontation, it's 50. The documentary circles back to the bad boy years with a heavy focus on Biggie Smalls. Not just the music, but the power dynamics surrounding him. One of the key voices is Kirk Burroughs, an early bad boy insider who worked closely with Diddy during the label's rise. Burroughs paints a picture where success came with control, and influence over Biggie was the real currency. He points to Biggie's bond with Tupac Shakur as a pressure point, suggesting it wasn't just a friendship. In his version of events, that connection threatened the entire structure, like Biggie had an exit route from an orbit he was never fully free in.
In Pac's friendship with Sean, being a marketer, you're a manipulator. And there's envy for people who have success, fame with no manipulation.
And Burroughs doesn't stop at just highlighting tension. He goes further, revisiting suspicions he says he's carried for decades, pointing to timing, movements, and key decisions surrounding some of the biggest moments of that era. These claims have always been contested and remain unproven, but the documentary presents them in a way that reopens old wounds and restarts debates many thought were buried.
On now, in my mature mind, had a lot to do with the death of Tupac.
It also brings up the long-circulating allegation tied to Keith D, specifically the claim that an offer was made in connection with Tupac's killing. That accusation has been talked about publicly for years, and the documentary uses it to show why, even decades later, some people still believe there are unresolved connections that haven't gone away.
Biggie like crazy, what's going on? Wake up to... He's like, yo, Puff is bugging. He just called me and told me, I want you to stay here in LA. I don't want to stay, I want to go. But Sean was adamant, cancel the flight. Biggie's not going to the UK.
From there, the spotlight moves to Biggie's final days in Los Angeles, and Burroughs' account of just how tense that trip really was. According to him, Biggie never wanted to be there, saw LA as dangerous ground, and sensed the hostility the moment he arrived. Burroughs also talks about exit plans that were supposedly in place to get Biggie out fast, and claims those plans mysteriously never materialized.
Sometimes you're humiliated, sometimes you're made an example of, sometimes violent things happen to you.
The documentary never claims this is definitive proof. Instead, it does something quieter, but arguably more unsettling. It lines up the choices, the missed exits, and the timing, then steps back and lets the audience wrestle with what that combination suggests. That's when it pivots to the part that tends to anger people the most: optics and money. Burroughs alleges there were disputes after Biggie's death involving finances, control, and accountability. The film places those claims next to the reality that Diddy later released major tribute records and went on to benefit both culturally and commercially from the moment. Some viewers will see that as grief transformed into art, others will see branding, and some will read it as straight opportunism. The documentary clearly wants you to feel how uncomfortable those optics become when everything is laid out back to back. Burroughs also revisits his own fallout with Bad Boy. He claims there was pressure to change Biggie-related business arrangements and that refusing to do so put him in the crosshairs. He repeats allegations he's made before, including saying he was threatened and coerced into signing away ownership, even referencing a confrontation involving a baseball bat. He also says that after this, he felt quietly frozen out of the industry. Again, these claims are disputed, but the film presents them as part of a broader pattern: power exercised behind closed doors, loyalty expected without question, and consequences for anyone who didn't fall in line. From there, the story jumps ahead into the 2000s, when the image was polished, the brand was untouchable, and reality television helped sell a carefully controlled narrative. One of the central voices in this section is Aubrey O'Day, formerly of Danity Kane. The documentary reminds viewers just how big the group became, then flips the perspective. O'Day describes an environment she says was built on control, intimidation, and blurred boundaries. She references explicit messages she claims were sent to her, and the film connects her account to allegations raised in civil litigation, positioning her story as another thread in a much larger, unresolved picture.
At your work, sending you that email. What happens in real life to anyone else? Your boss gets fired. 6 months later, I was fired. I absolutely felt that I was fired for not participating fully.
A filing referenced in the documentary includes an account alleging an assault took place while intoxication was involved. While O'Day has said she doesn't recall parts of what's described, and the strategy here is clear, the film doesn't hinge on a single moment. Instead, it layers multiple allegations spanning years and involving different people, making the case that this isn't random drama. It's a recurring pattern that keeps resurfacing in various forms. That leads to the question that divides audiences the most. If the allegations are this serious, why didn't the verdict match public expectations? This is where the focus shifts from claims to process. Once jurors enter the narrative, it becomes about procedure, what they were instructed to decide, what evidence they were shown, and what they felt met the burden of proof. The documentary says 50 spoke with 2 jurors. Juror 160 reportedly says she grew up on Diddy's music, but wasn't personally a fan. She describes the violence in the relationship with Cassie Ventura as unforgivable, yet draws a strict line between moral judgment and legal instruction. In her view, the case wasn't framed as a straightforward domestic violence trial. The second juror, 75, says he was confused by the relationship dynamics presented. And that confusion mattered, because when a case feels tangled, jurors don't convict based on assumptions. They only convict on what they believe was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the core argument the documentary makes.
And with I don't know what's going on, Cassie, what the fuck is
The documentary suggests the case might have been presented in a way that was too broad, too tangled, and too messy for jurors to confidently convict on the most serious charges. Both jurors featured reportedly stick to their positions. Juror 75 says he believes justice was ultimately served and emphasizes that he has no regrets about his decision.
It was a very interesting relationship. These 2 people overly loved. You cannot explain. She wanted to be with him. He took her for granted. He never thought that she'd leave her. So it's like both hands clapping together. You cannot clap with one hand. The both hands, like it's then you get the noise. What's going on here? Next minute they're going on dinners and trips. It's like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Then the documentary introduces a counterpoint from someone who claims she was up close to the machine. Capricorn Clark, described as a former assistant to Combs, speaks about claims tied to testimony and interviews, including allegations that she was pressured into lie detector tests and felt intimidated by people around him. She argues that the jury didn't fully absorb what she believed the evidence showed and suggests they were essentially starstruck.
as they relate to him? They were starstruck.
That clash is the tension point. On one side, jurors say we followed the law and the burden of proof. On the other, a witness claimed you didn't truly absorb what was in front of you. Then the focus pivots to the segment grabbing headlines everywhere. Not the theories, not the interviews, the footage. The documentary claims 50 obtained never-before-seen pre-arrest material that appears to come from Diddy's legal orbit, stuff that typically never surfaces unless someone close leaks it. The footage itself is wild. According to the doc, it's dated September 10th, 2024, just days before the arrest, and shows Diddy speaking with his attorney, identified as Mark Manufillo, discussing strategy, mounting pressure, and the sense that a federal move was imminent.
There's a whole lot of crazy.
He describes feeling exposed, like a sitting duck. The film then zeroes in on a phrase that hits like gasoline on a fire, the idea of flooding the zone with messaging to control the public narrative around the allegations. That's why this footage matters. It's not shown as some random moment. It's framed as a glimpse into how perception gets carefully managed when legal pressure spikes.
I've been a superb client, as you said. I jumped on the plane, I'm coming to New York, but I'm just running around waiting for a shoe to drop.
The documentary frames this as a full-scale strategy, not just a story. 50 is shown seeking someone who can handle the dirtiest corners of media and propaganda, essentially creating a private war room vibe on camera. Once that footage surfaces, the doc claims Combs' lawyers immediately sent a cease and desist, arguing the material was private and the project a hit piece. On the flip side, 50 is portrayed as refusing to back down, insisting the footage was obtained legitimately and emphasizing source protection. Journalists don't expose sources, so don't ask me to. The doc frames this as more than content. It's a collision with real stakes. One side says the material was private, the other treats it as fair game. 50 also tries to separate hip-hop culture from the allegations, arguing the genre shouldn't bear the weight of legal claims, while highlighting Cassie as a victim conditioned over time to accept abusive behavior. Finally, the documentary signals it's just the opening move. It leans into the idea that more unseen material exists, portraying 50 as timing his next drops rather than reacting spontaneously. Fans even call it psychological warfare, pointing to his choice of interviews and platforms, suggesting Combs might be hearing it while incarcerated. Whether true or not, the effect is the same. This feels like phase one. The story isn't over, and the next moves are being tracked closely.